Alright, let me hook up my computer here with the beep beep juice. But I think, Jocko, this is going to do me some good on the moral contract I bring up in the stone mill. But there's actually a new set of information I've worked inside of here to logarithms and how to log base A, right? Log base A inside here. And managing confidential information is one of these things that I was watching an interrogation last night of this guy. He murdered 3 of his ex-lovers, strangled one of them with an extension cord, and then shot the other 2 with a sawed-off shotgun on a killing spree. And then the interrogator made him look like he come off it as a victim, but there's a lot going on. And it's like, you got to close off was this a crypto hit? Was this some guy off the reservation? What's going on in here? How hard did the Stanford experiment really affect inside of the situation? There's a lot of things going on for confidential information and how you deal with it. And of course, he's crying malignant prosecution. And he's not wrong, but it's just an investigator making sure his rights were taken care of and things. But it's still hard to use that read technique in interrogation like that. So I bring that up.
Tactically proficient, and I think one of my fortes
is in the
and
middle.
strong points.
We're going to talk about having to advance your Mason's card.
Anybody who gets in federal law enforcement, I would advise them.
If I'm responsible for taking track of that,
you get to learn the job.
And what I know,
just
keep going here, make sure we get.
And I happen to be very
just
good
to make
at
sure off of those truth tables.
And I could work informants well.
That
what do you think was that? What made you good at it?
I got some more to this too, but we're not done with that.
I think my street smarts,
but
growing up in
here,
Detroit,
I want to unmake you. I want to show you how hard a logarithm can be. This is basically Penrose Twister theory to the salty sharps bit that we're doing here.
Especially criminals, they're
going to get the ideal situation. That'll be important for what we do here in a little bit. All right, it's just a standard model options. I'm looking at you, looking at me about log A, and we're testing it. That gets real big. Oppenheimer, drill sergeant Forrest Jackson tell you to fix the expression on your face, and that might mean managing a confidential. You could say things in word and gravity, and it doesn't necessarily mean everybody else in the room is going to know what it was or why it was. Doesn't mean you have to go explaining it to them, right? That log, right? I don't know, man. It gets a little weird. That's him playing log 10 on Ben Eater computer stuff, or 3B1B computer stuff. We don't necessarily need that. Let's get to a more practical sense of it. What best describes your relationship with math? I've never learned it, but forgot. I could do it, but only what I do, or I can teach it. Right? I do it by teaching it, and that'll go through chemistry, some bar graph of the group we got inside of the set, and either that's one person, even in jail, right? I don't need anything. I'll just come back to writing this. This person said they had math skills, right? We'll get to it. We'll get to that here in a minute about actually. Working out the ASVAB, how it's done, micro-coulomb, right?
You never can trust them 100%. You do
and so we'll get into that. So you get into that chemistry, psychology, physics, computer engineering, because that's the route we're going. I'm resetting the curve. I don't necessarily care if
having a good informant,
they don't like that. I don't care. I don't have that. They've already and all that other jazz. So
everything else.
What we're into now is, again, I've split the same structure down, and we're going to get into it. How good are your skills in geometry? Never learned it. Easy problems, maybe. Easy to moderate problems, and moderate to advanced problems. Now think about this over that logarithm x1, x2, xn, n1, n2, nn over these types of logarithms. Log 1, log 2, your log numbers inside of here.
3 to 5 informants at any
Before you get into the chemistry versions of that, log 1, log 2, when that exponential growth is going to grow log 10 for that COVID curve to where 1 million people are going to be on probability from a month out from. and pegging that day.
Ever get out
That's
of that
heavy managing confidential information sometimes.
They think
because with this, I'm going to put down a moderately hard geometry problem for you. I'm going to go dig one out, find something to like represent a bar, and there's a whole bunch of log subsets into there. There's also arithmetic sets inside there. We're going to give you one. I want to just that is gravity, field theory, general knowledge before we get to the heavier stuff of taking 5 parts of a geometry problem down for the arithmetic, but they're all going to stack, and it's all going to be special relative to have a battery. I don't need to make a battery. So chemical analytics and vocabulary, never learned it. Easy problems, maybe, because I really want you to set this up. And I'll give you a chemical analytics vocabulary problem. It's a word algebra problem, right, or arithmetic problem. But in chemistry, I need molars. I need a volume or some kind of vocabulary in there. I need analytics of that. Ideal gases and real gases. Are we talking about this guy as an ideal, or are we talking about the real situation where he's a Sawyer up and down, 0, log, -1, or excuse me, 0.1, 1, and 10 for whether that's going to output 1, 2, or 3, or whatever.
So what can you tell us about
what do you think about it? And just to finish off here before the Clash of Clans carry through here, and this is going to be a reduction, distillation, and a recrystallization. Just to give you some basic ideas, and then as we go through the next topics, what do we got here on the list? We're going to cover that Jacobian matrix. We're going to lattice this all through here. And we're going to say, so chemistry, psychology is next. What is dual diagnosis? What is, psychological analytics and vocabulary would be a great way to start this off. Reference a situation. Hypervigilance and PSTD in terms of, it is a chemical analytics. It's bipolar or something like that. I'll figure out one that tightens in there real good. And then we could say a renormalization. We could say an analyzation, we could say a renormalization, or whatever kind of tightly fills off that set. When it comes to it, we'll get much more comprehensive if we took 5 individual questions of just geometry that ranged it from easy, medium, and a couple of ranges of the medium, because realistically you need one. I need just the base first geometry. Everybody in the world should know it. It's kind of the basic system. It'll be somewhere out there. I've seen it floating around before. A basic easy one, but a little bit harder. Something that's quantified as that, creeping on its way out to advanced, and then a very advanced geometry problem, equally like you would do chemical analytics or vocabulary for those ideas. And like I said, once you have logged that, it's one thing to say, hey, well, I didn't do that. Well, did you even take the concept in mind of the group of friends I have who has chemistry skills around here? How deep down the rabbit hole does that go? And is it potentially one of those powers at the nth level, or log n to the log base, that you might have to consider inside here of, well, the meaningful confidential consequences, or vocabulary y prime, some subset, WIMP particle inside of there, or alpha particle that may be detrimental to that function in some way. So it's something you have to consider. Catch you on the next one.